I tried Cursor and it wasn't at all what I thought it would be. So I'm going to take you on a journey with me. We're going to build a full application together. We're going to walk through what I've built already. You're going to see how it works, and then we're going to refactor it. And building software with AI is really different. It's a lot more about directing and coordinating than doing the nitty-gritty. I have so many ideas, and I have a deep knowledge of how to build good code, but I always get caught up in the minutia, the details. I mean, there's so much that you have to keep track of and so much stuff you have to install, and it's just a pain sometimes. I guess it's been about 3 years, like right when ChatGPT 3 came out. And the very first thing I tried with Chat was some code, and I tried to just do a very simple program called FizzBuzz, and we struggled. I struggled with it, to have it understand how to build something a little bit more maintainable. And that's been my experience overall with ChatGPT, is that it's really great with English language. We write together, we brainstorm together, we write videos together, but coding together has always been a challenge for me with it. And so I had very low expectations when I decided to look at Cursor. People talked about, like, Cursor is so good and all, and I thought, okay. You know, maybe it's kind of like Copilot. I didn't really understand what it was like. When I loaded it up, I noticed it was quite familiar because it looks just like Visual Studio Code. When I work with ChatGPT on coding, because Chat's amazing at so many other things, but when I work with it on coding, I feel like I'm working with a junior developer, and I have to lay things out, and it's easy for it to get lost. When I'm working with Claude Sonnet 4 through Cursor, I feel like I'm working with a much more senior developer. Someone who really understands, and I can have conversations about design patterns. We are using test-first development, which is something that I love to do, and it was very open to doing it, writing good tests that were based on behavior. And we used the tests to discover what we were actually building and how to build it well, which is, I think, the main benefit. So we're going through the true TDD process with an AI, which is, I think, is amazing. I'm going to show you code. This is now a fairly complex program, and this is just after one day. We spent, probably about 3 or 4 hours working together, and this is over 5,000 lines now. Now, a lot of it's obviously boilerplate. It's a Flask application, so it's client and server. You'll see that when we walk through, you'll see that there's not a lot of nudging that I have to do. Cursor is much more aware of these things than any other AI I've encountered. This is Claude Sonnet 4 that Cursor is using. And it prefers test-driven development. It is emerging designs with me. We're talking about good design patterns and how to apply them. So it's like I'm talking to a senior developer. It's also a lot of fun. So this is about 6,000 lines of code. It's a Flask application. It also has an API interface and a command line interface for testing and simulation if I want to do that. Let's take a quick look at the code. This is Cursor. It looks a lot like Visual Studio. Here's our prompt manager class, and it has the basic CRUD operations. Here's the format of the prompt themselves. They're all in JSON format. We have the ability to do lots of testing. We are using PyTest for our tests, for our code, and for the dynamic piece, we'll be using a test framework called approvals tests. Here is the web interface. And most of this is fairly boilerplate. This is Flask. And we don't really need to look through it in much detail. If you like, you can look through it on your own. It's in GitHub. So the next step for this app that we're building is, so we have it to manage the prompts, and we're going to get it to manage the different components of the prompt. So, like, for example, you can define a role. And these are going to be in little drop downs, okay? So the role could be act as a developer, act as a marketing coach, act as a personal fitness trainer, whatever the role is. That will affect the next drop-down, which is the context. So, or something like that. Like for a developer, the context may be write a program or debug something. Whereas for a fitness coach, it might be put together a meal plan or something like that, right? So these are cascading menus, drop-down menus. So there's one for context, there's one for audience, there's one for tone, there's one for output format, whatever we want to think about. And you can define what I'm calling a template. And that template lets you plug those things in. So for example, I might define a template for a user story that says, as a user, I want to do this so that I can do that, right? So you can define the different kinds of users. So this is all going to be driven by data. It's all going to be data driven. And we're going to build a test first. This is a pretty significant program, I think you'll agree. We're going to refactor it to be fully data driven, so it's fully flexible. And I think you're going to find that really interesting. So subscribe, because this series is just starting.